This is Kelly Price with Lab Video 2, identification of the axial and appendicular skeleton. Alright, this is the skull. Here we have the cranium, the frontal bone, the parietal bone, the temporal bone, the zygomatic process. This is the mastoid process. Here we have the occipital bone, the foramen magnum, the occipital protuberance, the superior orbital fissure, the inferior orbital fissure, the lacrimal bone, the lacrimal fossa, the maxilla, zygomatic bone, and the hard palate. For your sutures, you have the coronal suture, the lamboidal suture, the squamosal suture, the sagittal suture. On the mandible, you have the ramus of the mandible, the body of the mandible, the angle of the mandible, the mandibular condyle, the coronoid process, and the mandibular notch. Alright, so here's our vertebrae. This, from here to here, is the cervical region. The first part is the atlas and the axis. Alright, from here to here is our thoracic region. And then from here to here is the lumbar region. And this last part is our sacrum. Alright, here are the parts of the vertebra. This is the body of the vertebra. This is the spinous process, the transverse process, transverse foramen, the intervertebral foramen, and right here we have the intervertebral disc. Okay, now we're on to the sternum. We have the manubrium right here, the body, the xiphoid process. On the ribs, 1 through 7 are the true ribs, and then 8 through 12 is the false ribs. And here we have our clavicle. This is the sternal end. This is the acromonial end, and then this is the acromonial clavicular joint. On the scapula, we have the glenoid cavity, the acromion process, the spine, the infraspinous fossa, the supraspinous fossa, and the subscapular fossa. On the humerus, we have the head, the greater tubercle, the lesser tubercle, the coronoid fossa, the olecranon fossa, the lateral epicondyle, and the medial epicondyle. This is your radius, and this is the ulna, and on the ulna we have the olecranon process. These are the carpal bones, the metacarpal bones, and then we have our phalanges. These are the proximal, the middle, and then the distal phalanges. On the pelvis, we have the ilium, and on the ilium we have the iliac crust, the iliac fossa, the anterior superior iliac spine, and the sacroiliac joint. On the ischium, we have the ischial tuberosity right here. And then on our pubis, we have the pubis symphysis, the acetabellum right here, and then we have the obturator foramen. Okay, on the femur, we have the head, the neck, the greater trochanter, the lesser trochanter, the lateral epicondyle, the medial epicondyle, and then the patellar surface. On your tibia, you have the anterior crest, the tibial tuberosity, and then you have the medial malleus. On your fibula, you have the medial or the lateral malleus, and then on the foot, you have, or your tarsus, you have the talus, you have the calcaneus, and then you have your metatarsals right here, and then you have your phalanges. You have your proximal, middle, and your distals. Okay, that concludes lab video 2, identification of the axial and appendicular skeleton.